Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Saigal. On the show tonight, we will tell you about the spy who betrayed India. An Indian Navy staffer who has now been arrested for spying for Pakistan's ISI. We will also tell you how Pakistan continues to run spy rings right here from India's national capital, New Delhi. Also on the show, we will tell you how the US President Donald Trump has now become the king of the West after NATO countries agreed to hike defense spending by 5%. Finally on Gravitas, while the Israel-Iran war has come to an end after 12 days of fighting, Gaza continues to suffer under relentless Israeli attacks. All that and a lot more lined up for you on the show tonight. Let's get you started. Our top story is about betrayal. An alleged spy, Vishal Yadav, has been arrested in India for spying for Pakistan. He worked as an upper division clerk in the Navy's Dockyard Directorate. But investigators say he was secretly working for Pakistan's ISI for years, even during Operation Sindoor. But this is not just about one man. It's about how Pakistan runs secret spy networks right here from its embassy in India's national capital, all under the guise of diplomacy. This is a story of deception, of honey traps and espionage. This is the story of Pakistan's shadow war and how India is blowing the lid off it. First and foremost, who is Vishal Yadav? He was a clerk at the Navy headquarters in Delhi. He is a resident of the North Indian state of Haryana, and he was arrested by Rajasthan Police CID. According to Rajasthan's top intelligence officer, Vishal Yadav was honey-trapped by a female Pakistani handler posing as an Indian woman named Priya Sharma. She is said to have first contacted Vishal Yadav on Facebook. Soon, they were chatting across various social media platforms, to name some, WhatsApp and Telegram. At first, it started with small payments of rupees 5,000 to rupees 6,000. Then, the stakes got higher. Yadav allegedly leaked critical defense data, enticed by the promise of more money. In total, he is believed to have received rupees 2 lakh. Indian officials say that Yadav was hooked to online gambling, and it was his financial desperation that made him an easy target. The classified intel, it was shared through social media and paid for through cryptocurrency and bank transfers. Yadav is now in custody at the Central Interrogation Center in Jaipur. Multiple agencies are questioning him as well to find out just how deep the rot goes and how much has already been compromised. Now remember, Vishal Yadav's arrest is not an isolated case. His arrest is just a part of a larger web of ISI-led espionage operations that have been uncovered in the past few days. Several of them run through social media, many through Delhi, and all of them under Pakistan's diplomatic cover. Just take a look at these past instances. These are, as we like to call it, Pakistan's case files of shame. That's what it is. First, Jyoti Malhotra, a travel vlogger turned spy. She was arrested in May and was allegedly honey-trapped by ISI agent named Danish. She travelled to Pakistan 3 times and allegedly leaked important information to Pakistan. And Jyoti Malhotra is not the only one. The list is longer. In recent years, a growing number of spies have been caught leaking classified information from diplomats to defense scientists to embassy staff. Many fell victim to one tactic: honey traps, social media manipulation, and the temptation of more money. In each case, as the details came out, they sounded disturbingly similar. At the heart of many of these operations is Pakistan's spy agency operating under diplomatic cover from its High Commission right here in India's national capital, New Delhi. Behind these traps are real women trained by the ISI, running these spy rings from across the border under false Indian identities. Investigators say multiple female handlers used fake profiles to pose as friends, lovers, and sometimes even potential wives to seduce their targets and extract information and secrets. One of them is Noshaba Shehzad. Her name came out earlier this month as well, as reports cited her as a Pakistani businesswoman with a seemingly harmless travel agency in Islamabad. According to Indian intelligence, she is the key to a sleeper cell network inside India backed by the ISI. Then there's Aditi Bhardwaj, another false identity. She reportedly manipulated Sahadev Singh Gholi into leaking Navy and BSF data. And the price for this betrayal, if you ask, just rupees 40,000. Earlier, on May 24th, the Gujarat Anti-Terrorism Squad ATS had arrested Sahadev Singh Gholi for alleged involvement in espionage activities on behalf of Pakistan. It has since emerged that there may not be an actual person named Aditi after all. Instead, the name was possibly used by a Pakistani handler to maintain contact with Gohil. And finally, Priya Sharma. She too never existed. The fake profile used to trap Navy clerk Vishal Yadav, who handed over important military information, not to a friend but to an ISI handler. In recent years, several others have also been caught leaking secrets on previous occasions. Indian diplomats, scientists, and embassy staff have been arrested for allegedly leaking sensitive information or falling victim to honey traps by Pakistan's spy agency. And now, a new layer has emerged: crypto transactions. They're hard to trace and harder to track. Crypto is now being used to fund these espionage operations. As you can see from all these previous cases, the ISI's method remains consistent: honey traps, social media fake profiles, and financial bait. The nerve center of many of these operations is the Pakistani High Commission here in New Delhi. As India continues to crack down on these threats, the big question is, are there more Vishal Yadav still out there? And if yes, how many secrets have already been sold? Israel has always spoken about its advanced and sophisticated military. It has crushed Hamas and Hezbollah and other regional adversaries like Syria. They all stand no chance. But have perceptions changed over the last 2 weeks? Because Israel locked horns with Iran. The Iranian military top command structure was eliminated in the opening Israeli strike. Israel also claimed complete command over Iranian skies. But what came next was a rude shock. The Iranian military struck back hard. Wave after wave of missiles pierced the Iron Dome in Israel, shattering the aura of Israeli invincibility. Our next report telling you more.
It came fast, it came high, and it came hard. Iran's monster missile didn't just punch through the sky. It wasn't just the blast that shook Israel. It was the realization that the armor wasn't holding. Iran announced that it fired multi-warhead Qadr, dubbed as the monster missile. It's a fourth-generation ballistic missile with a range of about 2,000 kilometers. It has a top speed of 19,500 kilometers per hour, making it difficult for even the advanced defense systems to intercept it. This is the devastation caused in the southern desert city of Beersheba. Residential block reduced to rubble, roads shredded, cars flipped like toys, entire stairwells missing from buildings and people buried beneath their own homes.
What we've seen here is outrageous and extremely painful. That missile, which is one of the heaviest missiles of the Iranians, it's called Cartel. It's way above 400 kilos. Landed here specifically to kill women, children, old age, and people of ordinary lives. Demolished kindergarten and school, demolished apartments, and unfortunately had a heavy toll of 4 innocent civilians.
The direct hit in the largest city in southern Israel came just days after the city's hospital sustained significant damage in a missile strike. And when residents ran for cover, many found there wasn't any. In Arab-majority towns, the disparity was stark. Some neighborhoods had no shelters at all, others had entrances sealed or damaged. Israel, known for its high-tech defenses and swift retaliation, was caught off guard by sheer speed and altitude. Systems were overwhelmed. Warnings came late. Shelters failed to provide the safety. Sirens competed with screams. Now, calls are growing for accountability, for investment, for protection that matches the threat. Because next time, it might not stop at one missile. And next time, the target may be bigger. And the cost far worse. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Well, US President Donald Trump is drawing significant praise from the heart of NATO leadership. The very same leaders who not long ago feared that the US might abandon NATO and leave them to shoulder their own defense. In a message confirmed by NATO and the White House, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte applauded Trump for what he called decisive action in Iran, crediting him with achieving what no American president in decades could manage. This message was private, but was shared by Trump on his Truth Social account. The White House verified that the note came from Rutte and was delivered through official channels before the NATO summit in Hague. NATO later confirmed its authenticity but offered no other details. Was the flattering tone an attempt to win over Trump before an important meeting? The kind of praise that the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer had reportedly used while negotiating and announcing a new trade deal with the US, perhaps aimed at softening Trump's planned high tariffs on UK imports. Then, during the NATO summit, Rutte made multiple statements praising Trump On Wednesday, NATO countries agreed on a new defense spending target of 5% of GDP by 2035, a figure floated by Trump himself. In his own words, Rutte asked whether anyone truly believed countries would have pledged new defense investments if Trump had not returned to power.
Comes to making more investments. Would you ever think that this would be the result of this summit if he would not have been re-elected president? Do you really think that the 7 or 8 countries who said, yeah, somewhere in the 2030s we might meet the 2%?
Besides, privately, Rutte also praised Trump for his role during the Israel-Iran war publicly.
Doesn't he deserve some praise? And when it comes to Iran, the fact that he took this decisive action, very targeted, to make sure that Iran would not be able to get its hands on a nuclear capability, I think he deserves all the praise.
The 5% GDP commitment will include 3.5% for military spending and 1.5% for strategic investments such as cyber defense and mobility. Well, this move is widely seen as a direct response to Trump's long-standing pressure on NATO to carry more of the alliance's financial burden. NATO leaders reportedly hope that this increase in spending will reassure Trump of their commitment to NATO's Article 5, which is the core mutual defense clause. At the summit's conclusion, Trump praised the alliance, stating that NATO is not a rip-off, a major change in tone compared to his earlier comments, emphasizing how much America's allies rely on the U.S. military for their security. European leaders have bought themselves time, but they now face a new challenge, turning the 5% commitment into actual defense budgets at the summit. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that financial contributions alone are not enough to address NATO's challenges, while Norwegian Prime Minister emphasized that while the spending target has been set, it will only be meaningful if it results in something tangible. So, with praise pouring in from NATO's top ranks and defense priorities shifting in his direction, Trump may not officially wear a crown, but his influence over the West's strategic decisions remains stronger than ever. The skies over Ukraine, once fiercely protected by Western technology, are now dangerously exposed. The wanted Patriot missile system shows signs of faltering. The upgraded Russian Iskander-M is now outpacing Western defenses, leaving Ukraine increasingly vulnerable. Concerns are also mounting in European capitals about the efficacy of the American missile shield and the future of modern air combat. Our next report telling you more.
Russia's missiles are not just hitting Ukraine, they're slowly destroying it. The upgraded Iskander-M ballistic missile is smashing through Ukraine's Patriot defenses. Fast, low, unstoppable. On the other hand, the Tornado S multiple rocket system rains fire with pinpoint fury. This isn't just bombardment, it's a coordinated obliteration. President Donald Trump, after meeting his Ukrainian counterpart Zelensky on the sidelines of NATO summit, indicated he will consider providing more of the Patriot missiles to Ukraine.
The US is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine.
They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel. and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know.
Right now, Ukraine is under relentless attacks. The Patriots aren't able to cope up with the Russian assaults. Between late 2024 and mid-2025, Ukraine's overall interception rate plummeted from a robust 73% to a mere 46%. The Patriot missile shield, once Ukraine's silver bullet, is now a smoking target. Russia is using an upgraded version of its counter-missiles, which are proving to be unstoppable. Traditional radars can't track it, launchers can't catch it. Patriot batteries can barely respond before they're hit themselves. Now Patriot's real-world efficacy is raising dire implications, not just for Kyiv, but for NATO allies and other nations globally relying on it as a cornerstone of their air defense. If Russia's missile technology truly is outpacing America's flagship system, the consequences will reverberate across continents, reshaping strategic planning for years to come. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Let's now tell you what else is lined up for you on Gravitas tonight. Well, we will tell you how, if you just invest in depth, you might get richer, with NATO allies agreeing to ramp up military spending massively by 2035. The defense talks rallied not just in India, but worldwide. We will also tell you about a new global report which reveals that the world's richest are moving their money and themselves across borders to avoid taxes and also boost profits. And we'll also try to answer, is Africa slowly breaking apart? Well, according to scientists, a huge plume of hot magma rising from deep inside the earth is pushing the continent from within and splitting Africa into two. The Israel-Iran war seems to be over for now, thanks to a brokered truce. But there is still no real relief in sight for Gaza, which continues to reel under fresh Israeli attacks. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said that Gaza is in a catastrophic situation of genocide and urged the European Union to immediately suspend its cooperation deal with Israel.
If I may, to be brief, focus on one issue, which is the report presented to the Ministers of Foreign Affairs by the Human Rights Rapporteur on the catastrophic situation of genocide taking place in Gaza.
According to health officials in Gaza, Israeli attacks over just the last 24 hours have claimed 79 more lives and injured over 390. The overall death toll since the outbreak of Hamas and Israel conflict has now shot up to 56,156. That's the death toll. Not just that. Rescuers say at least 56 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli gunfire near Gaza aid sites. Just yesterday, dozens of Israeli settlers attacked a town in the occupied West Bank, leading to the death of 3 Palestinians in the violence, as per the Israeli military and Palestinian authorities. Besides that, the Palestinian Health Ministry claims that a 15-year-old boy has been shot dead by Israeli troops. The second teenager killed in a span of just 3 days.
They attacked women and children, and when the young man went out to defend his family, his children, and his nephews, they shot him in the head without warning and without reason. This is all before you. These settlers, whom they unleash every night on a village, ended their attack in the village of Kafr Malik, so they moved them to another village. The settler never moves except under the protection of the Israeli army.
And this only worsens the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the brunt of which is borne by ordinary civilians and particularly by the innocent children in the region who struggle to survive the trauma, hunger, homelessness and hopelessness induced by the prolonged war spanning nearly 2 years.
Before the war, our lives were much better. We used to live in houses made of concrete, but now we can only huddle in a tent made of cloth. In winter, a gust of wind can blow the tent away, leaving us to sleep in the cold wind.
Recently, Saudi Arabia's permanent representative to the UN called for urgent international action to protect children in conflict zones, warning that the failure to do so could impact future societies. UN Secretary General's Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict, Virginia Gamba, also raised alarm over the grave violations against children during 2024, which touched a record 41,370. According to the findings of the UN Secretary General's latest report, which marks a 25% increase compared to the previous year.
We cannot continue to stand by and watch with no action what is happening to the children globally and especially in Gaza. The scale of destruction and suffering borne by the children of Gaza defies and contravenes every human standard. There is no justification for depriving children of access to the means for their survival, including access to food, healthcare, and security.
In Gaza alone, the numbers are horrifying, with the war reportedly killing more than 17,000. That's the number right now, 17,000 children in the Gaza Strip, and depriving over 1 million of them of basic needs like food and medicine. So much so that the infants are reportedly among the hardest hit by Israel's blockade of aid in Gaza. Gaza's health officials say that the aid sent in is far from enough. There's a huge shortage of medicine, medical equipment and spare parts to keep the existing equipment operational.
There are certain types of milk that are both medicine and treatment. Children are completely dependent on them. If they run out, some of children's lives are at facing the risk of certain death.
We do not have good nutrition. There is no food. It is known that we live in Gaza and there is famine, big famine. We cannot find food to eat. And because I breastfeed, I feel hungry all the time. And it is sad for them, babies, to feel hungry like us. The milk, formula, helps me a little bit with them.
Reports suggest that the scale of this crisis could push Gaza into a devastating famine. Many children continue to suffer from acute malnutrition, the effect of which could be felt in generations to come. And with each passing day, the humanitarian crisis seems to hit a new low, thus marking endless tragedy for Gaza's children. Invest in death and you just might get rich faster. That's the story from the markets today. Defense stocks rallied today, not just in India, but across the world, after NATO allies agreed to ramp up military spending massively by 2035. NATO's new target, 5% of GDP on defense, and that's trillions of dollars heading to guns, missiles, and war machinery. The final summit statement, reportedly pushed through by the US President Donald Trump, it lays it out clearly. Member nations must spend 5% of the GDP every year on defense and security by 2035. And back home, Indian defense stocks jumped. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and Bharat Electronics Limited gained up to 1% in morning trade. The Nifty India Defense Index was up, led by Garden Reach Shipbuilders, DCX Systems and Bharat dynamics. And this is not just a global story, it's good news for India's Make in India push too. India's defense exports have exploded. According to reports, defense exports from India have grown 13-fold since 2016. In financial year 2024 alone, we exported over 21,000 crore rupees worth of defense equipment, from missiles to radars, small arms and even armored vehicles. The private sector's share of defense exports has surged from just 13% in financial year 2017 to 62% in financial year 2024. It shows the increasing role of private players in a domain that was once dominated by defense public sector undertaking. India has also mandated that 75% of defense procurement should be domestic, given a major boost to indigenous manufacturing. But the rally was not just limited to India. In Europe as well, shares of German and Italian defense firms like Rheinmetall and Fincantieri also surged up to 6% after the NATO news broke of increasing the defense budget by 5%. A broader European defense index is up 49% this year alone. But not everyone's buying the hype. Top experts, including JP Morgan, are skeptical. They say that NATO countries, especially in southern Europe, will not actually meet these 5% spending targets in the next 10 years. Northern Europe, Germany, Baltics, likely. France, Spain, southern Europe, that's doubtful. Still, the money has started moving and the markets have started responding, whether the world is preparing for peace or war. Defense and weapons are a big business, and in the stock market, war drums usually mean windfalls. A new global report reveals how the world's richest are moving their money and themselves across borders to avoid taxes and boost profits. According to the Henley Private Wealth Migration Report 2025, at least 142,000 millionaires are expected to move to a new country this year. It is a major increase from the 134,000 who migrated in 2024. And the trend shows no signs of slowing down. That number is predicted to rise to 165,000 in 2026. And these are all high net worth individuals, each with more than $1 million in liquid assets. And their most preferred destination, if you may wonder, the United Arab Emirates. According to the report, the UAE is set to welcome a record 9,800 millionaires, reportedly due to its zero income tax, stable government and easy long-term residency policies. The US then comes second, with 7,500 millionaire migrants expected through investment-linked visa programs. While Italy, Switzerland and Saudi Arabia also remain major wealth destinations, and Saudi Arabia is expected to see an 8-fold rise, with over 2,400 new millionaires predicted to arrive this year itself. On the contrary, the report states that the United Kingdom is seeing the sharpest outflow. Over 16,000 millionaires are expected to leave Britain in 2025, and that is more than any other country. China comes second with a predicted loss of 7,800 millionaires. According to this report, European countries like France, Spain and Germany are also facing net wealth losses as the rich move to more favorable countries. As billionaires and millionaires migrate, they take their wealth and investments with them. According to the report, the collective investable wealth on the move is estimated at $63 billion. The UAE's rise from regional hub to global wealth destination is reportedly a result of targeted policy changes. Not just that, its golden visa, valid for 5 to 10 years, reportedly offers a long-term residency to investors. In the US, meanwhile, the EB-5 program attracts global millionaires, offering green cards in exchange for job-creating investments. So the message is clear. Billionaires are moving where taxes are low, rules are relaxed, and opportunities are wide open. And they're doing it faster than ever. Well, China is on a recruiting spree, tapping into the best minds from across the world and increasingly roping in talents from academia, science and technology. Well, China's recent recruit is a mathematician from Canada known as Joshua Zahal. He is hailed for solving over a century-old problem. As per reports, Zahal is leaving Canada's University of British Columbia to take up a full-time position as a chair professor at Nankai University Chen Institute of Mathematics. And not just him. In the recent past, researchers and highly skilled workers have been seen quitting their jobs at prestigious workplaces in their home countries and migrating to China. Earlier this month, Professor Lu Wei, a senior investigator at the US National Institute of Health, was the latest Chinese professor to return home amid drastic funding cuts to university-rich researching grants by the White House. Back in March, award-winning AI researcher and entrepreneur Guozhan Shi joined Westlake College in China's Hangzhou as a full-time faculty member, leaving a decade-long career in the US. As per reports, Shi now heads a team of 20 researchers to explore AI and deep learning for image, video and virtual environment generation in China. Earlier, a study suggested that top young Chinese scientists are returning home from Cambridge and other top colleges at a rate higher than anywhere else in the world. However, it's not only Chinese nationals who have been making this switch. Charles Libber, he's a former Harvard chemist who was convicted in 2023 of failing to disclose payments from a Chinese college. He also recently joined Tsinghua University in Beijing. This largely indicates a pattern of brain drain in the US and abroad, which the Chinese officials seem to be cashing on. But what explains this brain drain? Well, in a bid to attract talent from over the world, Chinese President Xi Jinping has pushed for newer policies hinged on innovation, one aimed at making China a global leader in science and technology, toppling the US, plus scholarships, allowances and well-rounded fundings offered by the Chinese colleges that cover housing, healthcare and other benefits that makes it easier to jump ship and perhaps build a new career in China while also advancing Chinese programs in advanced technology, thus making it a win-win on both ends. In scene straight out of a nail-biting thriller movie, celebrations turned into a complete horror fest when at least 10 people were shot dead in the central Mexican state of Guanajuato. The killings took place when a group of residents hit the street dancing and enjoying as a part of the St. John the Baptist Day celebrations. And they were attacked by gunmen who opened fire on all of them, including children, while several others were injured in the sudden shootout.
We were completely calm, enjoying a family party for San Juan's Day, a celebration we have every year with our family and loved ones, when suddenly, out of nowhere, we were attacked by a group of people. We had to flee and hide.
In a press briefing, Mexican president condemned the event, calling it a case of multiple homicide. The local government too condemned the violence and called it a cowardly act. Officials have said that an operation to find the attackers has now been launched.
It was a confrontation, and unfortunately children died, so what happened is very regrettable. The investigation is being carried out, and we will continue working together with the governor to the extent that we can work together, and federal forces are also doing their job.
Apparently, the state of Guanajuato is known for such incidents. For several years now, the industrial state has been facing escalating violence and is also dubbed as one of the most violent regions in the entire country. owing to territorial disputes between drug cartels who operate in the region. Just a month ago, another multiple homicide took place, and that's during a Catholic church organized celebrations in which 7 young people were shot dead. And often, the commoners become casualties of violence in this tussle between the power-hungry drug lords. To curb the menace of drug cartels, police in the southern Mexican state of Chiapas unveiled prototypes for armed drones and a robot dog, which they say will better position them against the heavily armed drug cartels. Well, a viral manga with an uncanny track record of past predictions has now foretold a catastrophic super quake striking Japan on July 5th, 2025. And now, a slew of about 500 earthquakes rattles the Tokara Islands. The line between fiction and terrifying reality is blurring. Experts say that the fears of a quake are unfounded, but many flight cancellations point to the rising fears. Our next report telling you more.
A chilling dread has descended. Japan, a nation acquainted with the raw, devastating power of seismic activity, now finds itself crippled by a unique form of collective dread. A prophecy hinting at cities sinking into the sea and tsunamis 3 times larger than 2011's has ignited a firestorm of fear across the nation and beyond. Ryo Tatsuki, a manga artist from Japan, who is now being called the new Baba Vanga, made the prophecy. The current geological unrest in Japan has only amplified the panic. A relentless swarm of about 500 tremors has rattled the remote Tokara Islands in recent days, including a magnitude 5 quake. A similar period of seismic activity in the Tokara area was seen in September 2023, when 346 earthquakes were recorded within 15 days. Japan is one of the world's most seismically active countries, sitting on top of 4 major tectonic plates along the western edge of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The archipelago, home to around 125 million people, experiences around 1,500 jolts every year and accounts for around 18% of the world's earthquakes.
So, if you live near the Nankai Trough, it's pretty certain there will be an earthquake very soon in geological terms. But that means 1,000 or 2,000 years. Whereas what we human beings want to know, will there be one when I'm alive? And unfortunately, science cannot answer that question.
Now, there is a fear of a mega quake. The ripple effects are already devastating. Airlines, particularly those in Hong Kong and other Asian hubs, are scrambling to cancel flights to Japan due to dramatically reduced demand. Bookings have plummeted by as much as 83% for late June and early July, with carriers like Hong Kong Airlines suspending routes to several southern Japanese cities. The economic impact on Japan's vital tourism industry is already severe, a stark illustration of how an unproven prediction can exert a very real, very tangible influence on global travel. While seismologists vehemently dismiss any scientific link between these events and the manga's prophecy, stressing the impossibility of precise earthquake prediction, the public's anxiety remains palpable. The confluence of genuine seismic activity and the viral prediction has created a potential cocktail of fear, overwhelming scientific reassurances. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Is Africa slowly breaking apart? According to scientists, a huge plume of hot magma rising from deep inside the earth is pushing the continent from within. This force is breaking the land and may one day create a brand new ocean and split Africa into two. A new study explains that a long, deep split is forming in East Africa. The rift begins in northern Ethiopia and stretches all the way down to central Mozambique. Over millions of years, this split could tear off a 5,000-kilometer section of East Africa. If that happens, current-day Somalia, along with parts of Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania and Mozambique, will separate from the rest of the continent. These countries could eventually form a large new island with ocean water filling the space in between. This Afar region in Ethiopia is at the center of this phenomenon. It is a spot where three tectonic rifts meet. The main Ethiopian rift, the Red Sea Rift, and the third is the Gulf of Aden Rift. Scientists have long suspected that something powerful was happening beneath this area, and now researchers from the University of Southampton say that a massive plume of molten rock is rising from more than 1,000 kilometers underground. They gathered over 130 volcanic rock samples and used computer models to study the Earth's crust and mantle. And their findings show that this plume is not only rising, it is pulsing just like a heartbeat. As it moves upward, it thins and weakens the crust, making it easier for the land to split. And according to researchers, parts of this Afar region already sit 120 meters below sea level. The area has been flooded with seawater in the past, and scientists say it could happen again. The procedure is slow for now, but in the distant future, Africa could look very different, with a new sea lane where land once stood. What if you could choose your baby's genes, not just to eliminate diseases, but select their traits like intelligence or strength? A California startup is working on just that, editing human embryos, and it's raising serious ethical concerns. The company's name is Bootstrap Bio, backed by Silicon Valley investors. The technology they're using is called germline editing. It alters the DNA of embryos, changes that would be passed on to future generations. The goal: prevent inherited diseases or even enhance certain traits that are desirable. But scientists say the risks are massive. They say that when you mess with the safety of babies, you want to be pretty confident, as one has no idea what would actually happen. According to Bloomberg, Bootstrap Bio's founder started anonymously posting online about gene editing adults. But then they pivoted. They decided that it might actually be faster and simpler to edit embryos instead. They've opened a lab, brought in scientists, and plan to start trials possibly outside the US. Among their investors, a couple who have been linked to Elon Musk and promote higher birth rates. They'd even consider editing their own embryos if it meant reducing health risks. But then comes ethical questions. Some warn that this could lead to designer babies and widen the gap between the rich and the poor. But this is not the first time that someone has tried to edit human life. It has also happened in the past. One scientist has already done this and paid the price as well. Back in 2018, Chinese researcher He Jiankor had shocked the world when he claimed to have created the first gene-edited babies. He was later imprisoned to 3 years and banned from working on this technology. Now he says he's relocating to Austin, Texas to continue embryo editing in a private lab, though he says he's not interested in working anymore. Right now in the US, the law bars the FDA from even reviewing applications to edit embryos, so companies like this may look abroad. Bootstrap Bio has suggested Honduras for future trials. Globally, researchers are urging caution. Some want a 10-year embargo on germline editing because there are vast, complex challenges in it. Plus, it's unclear what medical problem this is trying to solve. So we ask again, should we edit human life before it even begins? It could stop disease, or it could redefine what it means to be human. But just because we can, the question is, should we? And if we do, who gets left behind? Well, yesterday on the show, we told you about Zohran Mamdani, who won the New York City mayoral primary. And as the political contestant moves closer to the city's top office, Mamdani's personal life, especially his wife, Rama Duaji, has drawn growing interest since the couple went public. During the victory speech, Mamdani thanked his wife, but not many know how they met. Rama Duaji is an accomplished Syrian-American artist based in New York and has an active social media portfolio with around 70,000 followers, a number that has grown since Mamdani surged ahead in the primary. Many of her designs portray West Asian life and champion social justice issues. Well, she met Zohran Mamdani several years ago on the dating app Hinge. In a video that has surfaced, Mamdani actually opened up about how he met Rama, offering dating advice to New Yorkers looking for love. Well, from CEOs to startup founders, actors to activists, high achievers are increasingly turning to apps like Hinge, Raya, and even Bumble to find meaningful connections. Online dating offers them with what it offers everyone else: convenience, control, and choice. But Gen Z, once a major driver of dating app culture, they are now increasingly turning away from swipe-based platforms like Bumble and Tinder. Many users cite burnout, algorithm fatigue, and a growing preference for organic connections over endless online talk. As a result, Bumble is now laying off 30% of its workforce in a bid to cut costs and reclaim profitability. The move is expected to save $40 million annually, though it comes at the cost of up to $18 million in restructuring changes. So the question is, what went wrong with online dating? Fatigue, frustration, and fading trust. Global dating app downloads have dropped majorly since 2020. Gen Z is now moving offline, choosing real-world encounters over curated profiles. Dating apps are adapting as well. Tinder is hosting cooking classes and meetups. Bumble acquired platforms focused on groups and local communities, and niche apps are outperforming the mainstream ones. Well, the future of dating is not just about algorithms anymore. It's about relevance, trust, and perhaps finding connection in more meaningful ways in today's time. And with that, we slip into a very short break. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION The World. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
We're giving an AI-generated video where we can analyze your credit history, your credit score.
It's all about now content. A lot of it is now digital. A lot of TV content is still being watched.
I think it's been a fantastic journey. We have succeeded in some of our original goals, which was to bring credit accessibility to both companies and individuals.
Key milestones of traction under your leadership.
Getting actually a personal check from Mr. Ratan Tata. We got an opportunity to get listed.
One of the biggest things that has changed in Razorpay over last 5-6 years is to be a single product, single business company to a multi-product, multi-business company.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
We're giving an AI-generated video where we can analyze your credit history, your credit score.
It's all about now content. A lot of it is now digital. A lot of TV content is still being watched.
I think it's been a fantastic journey. We have succeeded in some of our original goals, which was to bring credit accessibility to both companies and individuals.
Key milestones of traction under your leadership.
Getting actually a personal check from Mr. Ratan Tata. We got an opportunity to get listed.
One of the biggest things that has changed in Razorpay over last 5-6 years is to be a single product, single business company to a multi-product, multi-business company.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
welcome you watching WION World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start this broadcast by taking a quick look at what is making headlines at this hour. The top Trump officials are all set to give their first classified briefing to the US Congress on the Iranian strikes. The CIA Director John Ratcliffe, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and also the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are expected to brief the senators. The American Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth calls the US strikes on Iran a resounding success, ending the war and also setting back the Iranian nuclear program by many years. He cites reports by the CIA and the National Intelligence and the IAEA to back up his claims. Now, in his first public address after the Iran-Israel war, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei declares victory over the State of Israel and calls the attack at a US base in Qatar to be a heavy slap on America. And the Central African Republic announces 3-day national mourning after at least about 29 school students die in a stampede caused by the explosion of an electrical transformer. Many students reportedly jumped from the school's second and the third floors and sustained serious injuries.